Welcome to the Anxiety Relief Podcast. I'm your host, Rolph, the Anxiety Coach, here to help you conquer anxiety and build a calm, confident life. In each episode, we'll explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you take control of anxiety and live life on your terms. Without further ado, let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Anxiety Relief Podcast. My name is Ross, and today we're going to be talking about something that can feel unbelievably scary and frustrating, and that is nighttime anxiety. But before we go into that, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's listened to the podcast so far. This was a new project this year, and it's absolutely smashing it at the moment and just seems to be doing better and better every single week. And that is entirely down to you guys. So thank you. And please continue to share it to other people, because you are then helping them. You are helping them because you're the one bringing them into this world and getting them support. So let's move on into this episode. And we're on episode 10 now, believe it or not. That's how quick this year is going already. The 10th episode at the point I'm recording this. Other episodes have already been recorded with some amazing guests. So make sure you are following the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to so you do not miss the next one. So let's get on with this. Nighttime anxiety. This is a massive area of anxiety, and one that I personally found really difficult. Nighttime anxiety can affect people in different ways and different levels, in so much so that some people may literally be getting like no sleep, basically. Others may be getting sleep, but it may be extremely broken up or waking up in hot sweats, etc. But ultimately, it's that weird feeling when you're trying to fall asleep, but you get that sudden rush, you wake up and it's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you got all them weird body sensations that feel even louder. Now it's dark, now it's nighttime. And them spiraling thoughts that seem impossible to switch off. And if you've ever thought, why am I fine in the day, but worse at night? Or maybe you thought, why does my anxiety feel different when I'm in bed? Or maybe you're terrified of going to sleep because what if you wake up panicking again? Then this is the episode for you. Congratulations, you've come to the right place. Because nighttime anxiety has a very specific loop. And once you understand the loop, you stop treating the night like a threat and you start retraining your nervous system. So in this episode, I'm going to cover the following: why anxiety feels stronger at night, what's actually happening in your body when you wake up wired, the biggest mistakes people make that keep your anxiety cycle going, the exact response plan you can follow step by step that helps you get in control of it when it hits. And I want you to hear this early on. The goal is never going to be perfect sleep, okay? Because it just won't happen. It simply won't happen. Have you ever had a perfect night's sleep? Now, you may be answering yes to that, but like, what's that, one in like thousands and thousands of the time you slept? So we're not going to aim for that because it wouldn't be realistic. But the goal will be to stop fearing being awake. And maybe if it's about actually going to sleep, to stop fearing going to sleep. But often it's worth saying it's that you really want to go to sleep, but you just can't because your mind won't shut up. First, let's normalize something. Night anxiety is incredibly common. And the reason it feels so intense is because night removes your usual buffers. In the daytime, you've got noise, light, movement, distractions, conversations, tasks, places to go. Even if your anxiety is there, your attention is actually shared with all these other things going on. But at night, something goes quiet, or I should say everything goes quiet, really. And when it does go quiet, your brain does what it was essentially designed to do. It scans, it goes inwards, it starts noticing your body, and it starts noticing your breathing, your heartbeat, your stomach, your throat, your thoughts. So if you're someone who's had panic attacks or intense anxiety, nighttime becomes the perfect stage for your brain to run into its old pattern. Not because night is dangerous, but because night is still. And that stillness can feel like vulnerability to an anxious brain. Here's the truth, however, that changes everything. Nighttime anxiety is rarely about the night. It's about what you believe will happen at night. It's about anticipation. It's about the fear of fear. It's about your brain trying to prevent a repeat of a moment where you were scared before, maybe. So if you've ever had a panic attack at night, woke up, having one, or your brain starts pairing bedtime with being danger, and bed becomes that trigger. And it's not that necessarily that the bed has actually caused that, right? It's because your brain has linked the feeling with that location. It's a bit like if you get stung by a wasp in the garden once, your brain starts being tense when you walk through that garden again. Now, the garden isn't dangerous, but it will likely remember the last time you walked past a certain bush in your garden or something, you got stung, right? Your brain remembers that. And this is why people say things like, I dread going to bed. I feel anxious as soon as I get in bed. I'm fine until the lights go off. Now, that is conditioning, and conditioning can be unlearned. Now, why is it you wake up at 2 a.m., 8 and or 3 a.m. and it feels like weird and you feel all like wired up when you should actually be nice and relaxed? Now, let's talk about a specific thing that really scares people. And this is waking up suddenly with anxiety. Sometimes with a rush of adrenaline, a pounding heart, sweaty palms, or even dizziness, a jolt through your body. And your brain immediately says, what is happening to me? Why did I wake up like this? What if something is wrong? Here's what's often going on. Your body goes through natural cycles at night. Your nervous system shifts, your blood sugar can change, your temperature changes, your hormones shift. And there are parts of the night where your body becomes more easily startled. If you're already running on stress, if your nervous system is already sensitized and like those normal changes can feel like a threat. So your brain then misinterprets them and triggers the alarm. It's like a smoke alarm going off, not because there's a fire, but because the sensor is too sensitive. And I use that one a lot, and I'm really trying to make that one stick in for people because it's such a good analogy. And then it's like you wake up in the middle of the night, your mind starts scrambling trying to explain it, right? And it will create some kind of story. And that story will be something like, this is dangerous. This is different. This means I won't cope. This means something's wrong with me. But most of the time, it is just a false alarm on a sensitized system. So the goal is not to analyze why you've woken up. The goal is to respond in a way that retrains your brain slowly but surely. And let's just be consistent with it. One little step at a time and you will be able to retrain it. So let's talk about one of the biggest traps here. And this is when you try and force yourself to sleep. You get into bed and start doing mental maths. How many hours have I got left? If I fall asleep now, I'll get 6. If I don't sleep, I won't cope tomorrow. I need to sleep. Why can't I sleep? And all these questions that go round and round and round in your head. But that pressure is like pouring petrol onto your nervous system, a fuel. And because sleep is not something you can command, it just makes it worse. Sleep is something that arrives when your system feels safe enough to let go. So the more you chase it, the more alert you become. It becomes like a performance and you start monitoring it. Am I drifting away? Am I relaxed? Is it happening? Why am I still awake? And that monitoring is a form of threat scanning. And threat scanning keeps the nervous system active. So if you only take one thing from this episode, then take this. You don't overcome night anxiety by creating a perfect sleep. You overcome night anxiety by removing the fear and the battle. Here are 4 nighttime anxiety mistakes that keep that cycle alive. And we're going to get really practical here. So these are essentially the 4 that I see the most that happen to my clients that keep their anxiety just going round and round and round and round and round. And this isn't me saying that they're doing anything wrong. It's because that's just the way it is for most people, right? With anxiety, it's there at night because of how quiet it is. But it goes wrong when you're trying to feel safe. And then strategies then backfire. So here's the first mistake, clock checking. This is a massive one. You wake up, you check the time. It's 2:41. Instantly, your brain starts doing a calculation. All right, I've got 4 hours left. I'm going to be shattered tomorrow. This is bad. And that's just training your brain to treat being awake as an emergency. And it also creates a pattern. You wake up, you check, you feel stressed. Your brain remembers that checking is part of the ritual, and it just continues. And so actually you're doing the opposite to what you want it to do. So here's a rule: no clock checking. If you must have your phone near you, turn it face down and move it away from you. Don't have it like underneath your pillow or anything like that. Like, and ideally not too close to you. Because knowing the time just adds nothing to it for you, really. Nothing, because you will have an alarm set up, ideally on not on your phone, but it will not help you knowing the time. Now, if you have a clock, you can obviously just turn that away so you can't see it, but you don't want to know the time. It just adds pressure. So the second mistake I see a lot is body scanning and then trying to control the sensations. Now, this is quite a sneaky one because at night it's really easy to start monitoring your breathing or even your heart, your stomach, your throat. And you can start doing little tests, like, oh, is my breathing okay? Oh, does my chest feel a bit tight? Maybe I overdid it today. You might even start thinking you're dizzy. Do I feel unreal? Is my heart maybe beating a bit too fast? And now it's quiet and I'm noticing it. And then you start trying to control it. Oh, I need to slow my heart down a bit. That's saying there's something wrong. And that forcing these things to happen, forcing deep breaths, or you sit up to then start breathing in a certain way. You're doing, or like it's in your throat and you're doing lots of swallowing and having a drink and stuff because you're getting all worked up because your throat feels a bit tight or tense. That just goes against it, right? Because they're controlling behaviors that are telling your brain that something is wrong. They're confirming danger. So instead of your nervous system like settling, it switches it on or keeps it switched on, right? So a new response is actually allowance to that. Not because you want sensations, but because allowing it tells your brain this is uncomfortable, but not dangerous. So the third mistake that I often see is Googling and reassuring yourself in what I like to call the reassurance spiral. And this is where you wake up, you feel wired, and your brain wants certainty, a bit of clarity, but really certainty. So you go on your phone and, your brain's telling you, oh, just research this quick, just find out what's going on, right? So you go on it and you start searching those symptoms, you watch a couple of videos, you read the comments from experts all over the world who had literally probably just put in how they felt or trying to fuel it more, right? You look for that reassurance and yeah, you might get some temporary relief, but then your brain learns nighttime is dangerous and we must do this to survive. And you're actually instilling in it that a good idea is to wake up at that time each time and make you do this again, which you don't want. And that's where you train the loop. You literally train your body to do that. So here's another rule: no Googling at night. None. Night is not the time to solve your life. Night is the time to practice your response. So the fourth mistake I would say about is when you make bedtime like a project. And this one often traps like your high achievers because you start building like a huge bedtime routine with the energy of someone basically like preparing for war. Loads of supplements, dozens of techniques, the perfect meditation, the perfect breathing pattern, the perfect environment. Now, don't get me wrong, like having a good, calm routine before bed can massively help. But if it becomes like a project with like loads and loads of different steps, it then is just a safety behavior. You're overdoing it. You're then training yourself that you have to do 10, 15 different things even to be able to sleep. And we don't want that because safety behaviors will keep anxiety alive. The nervous system will learn we can only keep safe if we do that ritual, I suppose you could call it, right? So the goal here is going to be a simple one. Just do a routine that supports you, not a routine that you depend on, but that supports you in your goal to have better sleep. Now, I'm going to give you the exact plan to use when it hits. Whether you're trying to fall asleep and you feel like wired up, or you're awake at 3 a.m. with that rush of adrenaline going on. This plan is your anchor. And here it is. Recognize, relax your response, return to normal. Now let's break it down. So the first step is recognize. And this is recognize the moment you notice anxiety and label it. So, for example, you would say, this is night anxiety. This is a false alarm. This is just my nervous system doing its thing. And that's even if you don't fully believe it, you label it anyway, because naming it stops your mind from turning it into a mystery. And a mystery is what causes terror. So we remove that mystery and we call it what it is, a sensitized nervous system. So then step 2 is relax your response. And this is not the same as relaxing your body, okay? Because you might not be able to relax your body instantly. This is about relaxing your behavior. And you stop doing things that add fuel to that, right? So no clock checking, no scanning, no Googling, no forcing yourself to do anything. Instead, you just do one thing. Just let the sensations be there while you soften your attitude. You can literally say, fine, be here, whatever. Now, this is the part that sounds really simple, but it's actually really powerful because that breaks the fight. And the fight is what keeps the adrenaline moving around your body. If you fight, your brain thinks there is a danger. If you soften, your brain learns there isn't, and it thinks it needs to go back into relaxation mode. So your job is just to drop the fight. And then step 3 is return to normal. Now, this means returning to like normal behavior. So if you're in bed, stay in bed. But you stop trying to sleep. You just rest. You lie there and let your body do whatever it needs to do. And that's absolutely fine. If your mind is racing, don't wrestle it. You let the thoughts pass, like noise in the background. You can notice them, but don't focus on them. Just let them pass. And if you've been awake for a while and the anxiety is ramping up because you kind of feel like trapped in your bed, this is the only time I would want you, if it was that bad, this is the only time I'd want you to really actually do any kind of change on what you're doing. So if you were lying there for, say, 20 or 30 minutes and you can feel yourself getting wound up, you calmly get up. So not fly out of bed, you calmly get up. Not as an escape, but as like a reset. Picture that as like a reset button. You can go to another room with a low light. You do something boring, neutral, not stimulating though. So not like on your phone, anything like that, not watching a film, not playing games, nothing like that, right? We don't want it to be stimulating. We don't want it to be emotional. Don't start trying to work out all the problems of your life or texting exes or anything like that, right? That will just make it worse. Do something like sit with a warm drink, read a few pages of something light like a book, listen to a calm podcast episode, fold some washing, anything like that. And when you do it with one mindset. I'm not trying to fix anything. I'm just letting my body settle. Then when you feel drowsy again, go and get back into bed. And this is really, really important because then you're teaching your brain that bed is for rest, not battle. Now, you can use this word for word if you want. This is essentially a script you can use if you wake up, like wired up, and say it slowly. This is a false alarm. My body has released adrenaline. Adrenaline is uncomfortable, but not dangerous. I don't need to figure this out right now. My job is to allow it and rest. I can be awake and still be safe. This will pass on its own. If you repeat this, you stop feeding the anxiety, because what feeds night anxiety is the belief that being awake and that wakefulness is a problem. But wakefulness is not a problem. The fear of wakefulness is the problem. Now, I want to give you the long-term mindset shift. And this is the thing that makes the biggest difference. Stop measuring sleep as success. Start measuring the response as success. If you lay in bed and anxiety hits and you didn't Google, that is a success. If you woke up at 3 a.m. and you didn't check the clock, that is success. If you felt a rush and you allowed it, that is success. If you were awake for an hour but you stayed calm and didn't fight, that is also success. Because when your response changes, sleep follows. Sleep is the byproduct, not the target. And I know that may sound funny to say that, but that really is the case. And that mindset shift will massively help you. This is why I said earlier The goal is not perfect sleep. The goal is to stop fearing being awake. A huge part of night anxiety is also not the night, it's the tomorrow. It's the fear of being tired. You think, if I don't sleep, I won't cope. I'll feel awful. I'll panic. I'll be anxious all day. So your brain is already trying to come up with solutions to prevent that from happening by forcing sleep. And that just goes backwards. That takes you backwards. You can cope with tiredness, right? Loads of us have been tired all the time, aren't we? But if you've had a bad night's sleep the night before and you've let your anxiety get the better of you, you're already telling yourself that the next day is ruined. You've been tired before, you've still functioned, and maybe not perfectly, but you managed to get through it. That's something to remember. You've got through it before, so not to worry so much. And your body can handle being tired sometimes, right? So here's a line to tell yourself. I don't need to guarantee tomorrow. I just need to rest right now. That reduces the pressure, and that pressure is the enemy of sleep. Now, here is a simple nighttime routine that supports you. And this is without it becoming a safety ritual or anything like that, right? And I promise you, overall, I did promise you practical tools. So here is a simple routine, I promise you. But let's keep it realistic. This is not going to be some 15-step routine where you're going to need to learn all the different steps. No, this is super basic and effective. So 1 hour before bed, you start winding the stimulation down. So you reduce the bright lights. You're not going to use your phone, or if you do, you've got to turn the brightness right down. Do one calming thing, whether that's a shower, a warm drink, a book, some very light stretching, and then get into bed with one intention, and that is, I'm here to rest, not perform. Then when anxiety shows up, you use the plan. Recognize, relax your response, return to normal. So that's all you need to remember, the 3 R's. Recognize, relax your response, return to normal. And that routine there is entirely there to support you. Not protect you, but support you. And that does make a difference. Now, I want to give you a little listener challenge for the week here. And this is going to be small, but it's powerful. For the next 7 nights, so for the next week up to the next podcast, I want you to practice one rule. No clock checking. And that's it for now. And if you want to try any of the other steps, you can. But let's all do that one together. If you wake up, do not look at the time. Turn your phone away, turn your clock away, do whatever you need to do to stop yourself from checking the time. And every time your brain tries to convince you that you need to know the time, just say to yourself, knowing the time changes nothing. It only adds pressure. That one rule alone can reduce how much nighttime anxiety you have massively. And it stops that catastrophe math going on, working out exactly how many hours or minutes you've got left to sleep. If you're listening to this and you want a second challenge because you're really keen to get over this, then do this one. So if you wake up, you do that script and tell yourself, this is a false alarm. Adrenaline is uncomfortable, but not dangerous. I don't need to solve this. I can be awake and still be safe. Practice those, and you're then retraining your nervous system. So let's have a very quick recap just to finish off here. Nighttime anxiety feels worse because the night is quiet. Your brain scans and your body sensations feel louder. Waking up wired is totally normal, okay? You are normal. And it's just that your body shift has interpreted it as being a threat because it's a sensitized nervous system at the moment. The biggest mistakes that will keep your anxiety alive is the clock checking, the scanning, and then controlling sensations, Googling for reassurance, and turning that bedtime into a project with way too many steps. And the response plan. So let's remember that the 3 R's: recognize, relax your response, return to normal. And the goal is not perfect sleep. The goal is to stop fearing being awake. If this episode helped you, share it with someone who struggles at night, because nighttime anxiety makes people feel really alone, and it really shouldn't. And it can ruin everything in your day and make your anxiety so much worse the next day. Like, this was a massive area for me before I learned to overcome it. And I don't want it to be for you. I really hope you've enjoyed this podcast, that you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for tuning in to the Anxiety Relief Podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling a little more calm, confident, and in control. Remember, small steps every day can lead to a big transformation in your life. If you found this episode helpful, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who you think might benefit. For more tools and resources, head over to my website at www.rolph.com. And don't forget to join the Anxiety Relief Hub on Facebook, which is a supportive community where you can connect, share, and grow. Until next time.